Hello there, everybody. This is Thornbreak, ElfQuest Social Media Manager. I am just checking here to make sure these streams are going live on our YouTube channel and our Facebook. And I'm going to mute myself here. We're live on YouTube. And let's just double check Facebook. And then we will be good to go to really start the show. So bear with me. Let's see here. Are we live? We're going to events on Facebook, the ElfQuest. Let's see, we're not live there. So I'm going to hit the go live button and see what happens. All right. Hi, everybody. Once again, if you were here right at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific on the dot, you have already heard this, but my name is Thornbreak, David Charles Mizajewski. I'm ElfQuest Social Media Manager, and we are now officially live on both Facebook and YouTube, the ElfQuest channels. So wherever you are watching, you can add a comment and we will see it. And so throughout this live stream, feel free to do that. And I will be showing some of your comments on screen for Wendy and Richard Pini, the creators of ElfQuest, to answer live on camera. And so I'm not the star of the show here. Wendy and Richard are waiting in the wings. I'm going to bring them on momentarily. But this live stream, we're calling the last standee because we have the final stock, the final remaining stock of the really awesome limited edition ElfQuest character standees. There is Cutter, of course, and his life mate Lita, lovely Lita. You can't have Cutter without Skywise, and beautiful Saba. We got a little ring light glare there. Now, these are all, these standees, again, are limited edition. Wendy and Richard are going to autograph them for you. We are currently sold out of the individual standees for Skywise and Saba. So they're gone for good. However, we do have a few bundles of all four. So that's your last shot to grab Saba and Skywise. We still have a few left of the individual standees for Lita and Cutter. So look on your screen, streamily.com/ElfQuest. It's scrolling across the bottom there. It's pinned in the chat. So head there now, and up until we end this live stream, you can still purchase standees. Okay, so without further ado, I'm going to invite Wendy and Richard Pini to join me on camera here. Hi, Wendy and Richard.
Hi, everybody.
Hello, everyone.
I hope your signing hands are flexed and stretched because we got a whole bunch of these awesome standees to get to. So,
and we're looking at them right now. Oh my God.
They really are beautiful.
Yeah.
Again, I kind of held them up a second ago. I'm sure you guys were watching. They're clear acrylic. They're about, I would say about an eighth of an inch thick. They're very sturdy. They're not scratchable. I have dropped this Cutter like 12 times and he hasn't broken. So I know folks were wondering about the strength. They're also 8 inches tall. Saba's about 11. So they're decent sized. So while you guys are signing, go ahead, Richard.
Well, I was just going to say, there's the standee, and I'm getting a lovely green screen effect here. I don't know if it's showing up there.
Yes, Saba is doing some magic
Saba's
here.
doing magic. But there's a slot on the base, and there is a base for them. So when you get yours, you're going to plug that in, and they will stand, hence the name, on their own. And just so you know, the vote is in. We're not signing anywhere on the figures. Nobody wants ink on the figures. These things are beautifully printed. We are signing on the base. So know that ahead of time. We've been selling these now for, I think, over a year, but just thought for this final standee, smart guy, we go over it one final time.
I have to say that these are among my most favorite things we've ever done in partnership. I just love these things, the way they look, the way the beautiful clear acrylic disappears so the character just appears to be standing there, in midair. It's just so well done.
Yeah, Streamily has been done a fantastic job producing these. And speaking of which, why don't we get started? Because we got a lot to get to.
We do.
Yeah. So, Richard, I'm gonna normally, folks, I am sitting in the room with Wendy and Richard, coordinating, handing them the actual standees. I have caught a bad cold, and so I didn't want to get Wendy and Richard sick. So I am doing this from home today. So Richard is on his own to organize the whole mess. So, Richard, I'm gonna let you, get the first one out.
It's going to go a little bit slower because I'm doing what I would do plus what David would do. But anyway, it looks like the very first one up is a Sava, and it is made out to no one in particular. Therefore, we will simply sign the base.
And keep watching the screen, folks, because and keep those comments and questions coming in, because I'm going to throw some of them up on screen. And so Draco Dawn Stars, who I'm pretty sure is our friend Natalie, who is a diehard ElfQuest fan and has actually been a guest on the really awesome ElfQuest podcast called Tuned and a Microphone.
Hey.
So hi, Natalie. So good to see you. Or hear you, or read your message is actually more appropriate.
Yes. Now, I just showed you what the signed base looks like. Each of these comes in its own little plastic baggie or bubble wrap envelope. So now, once they're signed, I'm going to seal them up with the number. And then they're going to go here, and it's a show. You're getting a show, folks, like you've never had before.
So, Richard, remember when you're done, after you sign it, you need to mark it complete on the Streamily.
Already done, Mama.
Oh, okay. My screen has not refreshed with that yet. So.
You guys can't see it, but Richard actually has 4 extra arms that he's doing all of this
right.
with.
Remember when Peter Parker grew like extra arms, so he really was Spider-Man? All right, the next one is a bundle of 4. So this is going to be fun.
And because this is taking a little longer because we're doing the unwrapping, we would love it if you start asking us questions.
Please do.
Yes. Yeah. Well, why don't I tee it up? And Wendy, while Richard is wrangling the bubble wrap there,
yes.
Why don't you tell us, pick one of the many awesome ElfQuest projects that are in line to be released in the next few months that you might want to just say a brief word about.
Well, first I'm going to sign my name here.
Oh, okay. All right.
And then
takes precedent over chit chat. So
the thing I am most excited about is that next year there will be the release of the classic original Quest in full color with gorgeous new hard covers. And the idea behind this is to introduce a whole new generation of readers to ElfQuest. They'll go to their favorite comic shop and they will find it there, and they will be discovering it just like so many people discovered it in the mid-'70s. It'll be like starting all over again in a way.
And more than just comic shops, because we really want this to go into mainstream bookstores. You're going to get it on Amazon. You're going to get your Barnes and Noble. If you go to your local bookstore and say, hey, these are coming out, I want you to pre-order them as soon as you can, because I will come here and support my independent local bookstore. You do that, but you got to do it now.
Yep. Yeah. And while you guys are signing, I'll just beat that horse a little bit more.
Please do.
The days of, comic shops and even bookstores carrying every graphic novel and every comic that ever was, coming out in that particular month, I think are sort of in the past. And I know that my local bookstores don't always carry ElfQuest. So I really, really encourage everybody to do what Richard just said. Pop into your local bookstore, your local comic shop, and just say, hey, do you carry ElfQuest books? They're published by Dark Horse Comics. You can, the comic shops and the bookstores will know how to get them, and just say, I want to spend my money here. If you order this book and stock it on the shelf, I will buy it from you. That's super powerful. And when you do that, that helps, of course, other people find ElfQuest. So I just dropped a link for anybody out there that has missed the word that we have been shouting from the top of the palace about the new color editions of the original Quest coming from Dark Horse Comics. So if anybody wants more info on that, just find that link in the chat. I'll show it on screen here. And it's basically just go to the Dark Horse website. So how are we doing there? We're signing.
We're 75% through the first bundle. And
Okay.
I know that there are more bundles. So this is
This is quite a job.
this is swimming upstream, but we're going to get it done.
I can't tell everybody how much we miss David, but it was much wiser for him to stay home and take care of that cold.
Yeah, again, I mostly didn't want to get you guys sick. So,
Well, at least it wasn't.
so, yes, it's not COVID. I've tested for that. So I think it's just a cold. I had to travel over the weekend. So you know how it goes with airports.
Mm-hmm.
And so here we are.
Yes.
But
and you can mask and mask and mask. And still,
and sometimes it's not 100%. Exactly. So Libby Christie says hello. She's a longtime fan.
Please ask questions, because we can talk and write at the same time, and nobody wants dead air.
Yeah. So Psychro says, I'm excited for those color reprints. They're on their wish list. So I think you and everyone else.
Yeah. So many people have been asking for this sort of thing for so long. And Dark Horse Comics, God bless them, really, really cooperated about it. And David knows better than anyone how long it took to put this all in motion, but it finally happened. And it was like a roller coaster, very slow. Where's my hand? Very slow up the hill, and then boom,
Yes,
that's a good. We had to get 4 covers done, and just all kinds of color correction and.
Yeah, Wendy, while Richard is again working on opening on that, talk a little bit about you revisiting the colors, because I know you did one more pass for these Dark Horse editions from the colors that you originally did back in the early 2000s. So can you have anything to say about that?
Well, first thing I have to say is that when I went over the colors that were originally done for DC Comics back in the early 2000s, 2004, 2005, I am amazed at the staggering amount of work that went into those colors back then. And I'm very pleased with them. I'd made very few corrections, actually, just perhaps highlighted certain colors that were a little bit too dark or something like that. But otherwise, it looks so good. And as the volumes progress, especially volume 3, Blue Mountain, I really tried stuff there that's very exciting color-wise, and I hope everybody will enjoy it.
Oh, I'm sure everyone's going to eat it up with a spoon.
This is...
Yes. When they see, this one is a bundle of 4 for Shelley. So
we have to make room.
We're personalizing it on the top.
There you go, Shelley.
Let's see. Can you see that?
Yep, we can see it.
Okay. So your name, if you chose to personalize it, goes on the top, and our signatures go on the bottom. So now that's Sava just got done, and we're going to open.
And I think I have Shelley's comment that I completely coincidentally put on the screen. Nice. Shelley says that she's most excited about the new original Quest books coming out because her books fell apart. She read them so often. So
a lot of you have been writing to us and saying, "Oh, I lost my collection in a flood," or "My ex has them," or just so many stories about how you have teeth missing in your collection. And so this is another thing that this new series of volumes is going to do, is help everybody, longtime readers, to fill out their collections. Again, I just have to say, I love the new covers with the Art Nouveau elements.
Totally. The folks at Dark Horse really did a really, really cool job at doing those covers. And I will say this. I think, we haven't been shy about saying, books 1 and book 2 have been announced for February and May, but obviously books 3 and 4 are in the works. And so, folks, stay tuned for more details when we get them on the whens and the wheres and the whys. So,
this story, the original quest, the 4 books have seen various incarnations over the years.
Yeah.
And Wendy was pointing out the colors that she did for DC, and those at the time were her very favorite colors, but she has taken the time to go over all 4 of the books and punch up or tweak or clarify, or you name it.
Well, like I said,
the colors for the entire series.
Yeah, I didn't do too much though. I was so happy with what I saw that it didn't need much.
That's got to be a good feeling.
It was a lot, but
let's see. So Libby says, I bought the color version when they first came out, but lost it in a move. So this is exciting news. And I think there's a lot of folks out there like you, Libby, that, maybe, again, like Wendy was saying, lost your copies over the years. There's unfortunately many stories that I'm seeing on social of exes absconding with people's copies and, other terrible things. So this is a great opportunity for folks to get another copy. So here's Doug McCool started with the Marvel Epic comics, which was, that was around the era.
Great way to start.
The reason that we're very pleased about that, and we love the irony that they turned ElfQuest down originally, and then they came back. But you see, Marvel was able to get ElfQuest onto newsstands, and therefore we got a whole new audience who never knew about comic shops.
Mm-hmm.
And we are looking and hoping and praying and pushing to have this new edition, the Dark Horse full color hardcover edition, gather even more new readers.
Yeah.
So, that's something worth, repeating again, is that this really is a great opportunity for a whole new generation of people to discover ElfQuest. So I'm putting a challenge out for everybody watching. If you are an ElfQuest fan, tell everybody you know, right? I mean, we know how wonderful ElfQuest is, and we want everybody else in the world to know that they can get these books and sort of join the quest.
Well,
so that's a challenge for everybody out there. Know at least one other person that you could get hooked on ElfQuest.
And another thing is they'd make great gifts. Like if you grew up reading ElfQuest and you have kids now, you can protect your collection and you can get these new versions for your kids to read to death.
That's exactly right.
And that way your collection will stay safe and sound.
It's
right.
Self-preservation. It's all about,
So Vanessa's really looking forward to the new books, and Tony is also excited so that her granddaughters can have their own sets. I love it, Tony. That's awesome. Tony has the dubious distinction of being featured in today's edition of the Howl newsletter that I curate.
Why is it dubious?
Well, I don't know. I just chose a word. I don't know. I guess it depends on who you ask. So at any rate, Tony did this awesome fairy garden tree converted into a father tree for the ElfQuest miniatures and shared it in the Facebook fan group. And I just thought it was so cool that I had to feature it in the newsletter. So
that's nice. And to give it a mention here too.
Exactly. Well, it's, my subtle way of encouraging folks to, if you're not already, to sign up for our mailing list. Richard has revived his old Matter of Opinion editorials as a newsletter that goes out actually twice a month. And once a month, I put together just sort of a fan community newsletter with all sorts of good ElfQuest stuff that I find all over the internet, breaking news, behind the scenes stuff. So I'm going to drop a comment with the link so that you can join if you're not already.
Oh, yes,
And
please do.
Mia, if you are here, we just signed your Lita. I held it up. I hope you saw it. And
Richard definitely has a
All right,
system.
comments are coming in. Good. I'm glad to hear that.
it's slow, but it's working. So I'm
Yeah.
really pleased about that.
Yeah, we didn't know what kind of chaos we were going to encounter this evening, but it's going rather well.
Now we know
Good.
what kind.
Here's the on the screen, everyone, is the link. I know it's not a hyperlink, but I think in the comments it is. Maybe no, I don't think so. At any rate, just go to elfquest.com and click join the quest, and you'll get on the mailing list. Again, Richard produces a really cool editorial twice a month. I do the Howl newsletter, and we also have exclusives and other stuff that we don't post on social media there. Exclusive content, exclusive discounts on some awesome ElfQuest merch, like the Streamily ElfQuest standees that Wendy and Richard are signing, which are still available, at least some of them. Sava and Skywise are sold out, but we still have some cutters and we still have some Litas. And we've got, I think, 6 sets of all 4 that are remaining. Let me double check that and make sure I'm telling you the truth. Yeah, there's still 6 sets of all 4. If you just go to streamily.com/ElfQuest, it's ticking across your screen right there. You can order them. They're going to be available until this live stream ends, and we're shooting to end at 7 p.m. I don't know if we'll actually be able to end at 7 p.m.
There's a chance.
Best.
And Tracy, we just signed your Lita. Hey, I'm going to hold them up, and hopefully you'll see that you'll see yours go by. Okay, there's Tracy.
Going back to these,
and another Tracy for the cutter. This is the first cutter.
Going back to these reprints of the original Quest, it's so wonderful to revisit these stories done so long ago because they're still so fresh, and it's kind of surprising. And I love knowing, and I'm sure almost all of you out there know that ElfQuest is in development through Fox Entertainment as a streaming TV series. We all have our fingers crossed on that. There has definitely been progress on that, so keep your hopes up. But knowing that they're working with us with the classic Quest, even as these new books are coming out, is just such perfect timing in my mind.
A lot of synergy.
I'm dropping a link.
So what?
Go ahead, Richard.
Oh no, I was just saying there's a lot of synergies. Wendy said there's there's a potential streaming animated series at Fox. Dark Horse is doing the new color edition. You know, that's the thing about Post-it notes. They sometimes fall off.
So we're making sure they're taped down.
We're making sure, Tracy, this is you, number 529. And when we're done here, these get shipped back to Streamily out in on the West Coast. And we want to make sure that everybody's order is exactly correct and what they want.
Perfect.
Okay.
Hi, Tanya. I just threw your comment up on the screen confirming the hyperlinks are working in the chat. So thank you for letting us know that. I will keep putting links in there so that people can, click over there and open up another tab and go back to it after the live stream so that you can get all the good ElfQuest stuff we're sharing. So Natalie Draco Dawn Stars just brought up something that I know we also want to talk about. And she said, extremely excited about the ElfQuest covers project. Some of the covers I've never seen, so I can't wait to get mine. You and me both. And Richard, I know you wanted to do a little show and tell.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. And maybe now's the time because I haven't started on this bundle of all four for, I hope I'm saying this right, CISA.
You've got to see these. So
this is a 2-year project in the making. As you may or may not know, we've had 3 gorgeous art books come out through Flesk Publications. The Art of ElfQuest, The Art of the Story, and The Line of Beauty. And John Fleskis, who is the head of Flesk Publications, had just done an absolutely wonderful job. So we were kicking the can, what to do next. And it occurred to somebody, maybe me, maybe him, that ElfQuest has been going, and I feel very strange saying this, almost 50 years. And in that time, there have been over 300 individual comic books. And so I said, well, what about a book of all the covers? But let's not have it be just reprinting the covers. Let's have there be some words and some explanation about each one of those covers. So there's 2 really different formats. The first one that came up, and these are just terribly, terribly cute. We call them the minis.
The stocking stuffers.
Here we are.
You have a weird green screen thing going on. So, folks, the father tree in the background is not
Why
actually.
is that, I wonder?
Can you see the?
Yeah,
Okay.
we can see the main art.
If we tip it
Okay.
like this.
Okay, good.
Uh,
And look how thick these are.
all right. These are 2 volumes. These are what we're calling the stocking stuffers. And the interiors, each interior page is a cover on the left and some words on the left. The cover's on the right, excuse me.
Some discussion about how the cover was created or what was going on at the time.
And so these are those 2 books, but and they are too cute for words. But what we're most proud of, and the reason I'm gasping here, is there's a single volume that, again, I'm hoping that this does not suffer from green screenitis.
No, well, a little bit, but we get the gist of it.
Look at how thick that is.
It weighs about 10 pounds, and I'm not kidding.
Literally, I weighed it. It's over 8 pounds. And
10 pounds of ElfQuest goodness.
Again, the format is similar in that on the right you have the cover, and on the left you have some words, but because the pages are bigger, I was able to add a little extra. And so you have a dual, you have an extra bit of insider knowledge about something in the issue or something about the cover on the bottom of the page. And David, these are available when, where, and how?
Yep. So on the screen, I had just posted a comment. So Flesk Publications is producing this book. They ran a Kickstarter, as many of you know, because you supported it. And they're going to be shipping out your copies sometime in, I would say, the next month or so. They have also made the book available for pre-order exclusively on their website if you missed the Kickstarter. They will be in bookstores and comic shops sometime next year. So if you were a backer, you're going to get yours first. You can pre-order directly from Flesk. So again, head to the comments and you can click directly on that and go do that. So we do have a question. So let me know when you're ready to take a question while you're signing.
Say again?
He wants us to let him know when we're ready for a question. Are we ready?
Yeah, I want to keep the signing flow going. We're doing a lot of chatting, so
let
me know when you're ready for a question.
Yeah, we can see some of the chat right here.
All right. Well, I just put it on the screen. So Shelley asks, are there aspects of the quest that resonate more with you now than when you wrote it originally?
Without a doubt, the aspect that is still the strongest for me in the story is the search for identity, the search for who we really are and where we really belong. I think that's, possibly because of the advent of the internet and how it pervades life almost totally now. I think everybody is kind of searching for who they are and where they fit in right now. And this has always been the quest of the elves, to find out their origins, where they belong, and if they've been alienated and have had to survive in a hostile world, where can they find a place to go where there is no hostility, where there's peace and safety? We're all looking for that right now. So that's what resonates the strongest for me. How about you?
How about me? Well, I'll wait till you get that done because we're backing up here.
There.
I'm thinking, which is not something I normally like to do, that Stargazer's Hunt was a bit of a revelation because throughout the quest, Skywise has been Cutter's companion, advisor, friend, and but even when the quest itself came to what we thought was a conclusion, there were questions unanswered.
Mm-hmm.
And Stargazer's Hunt, in the process of crafting that story, I and we found some answers that were not obvious throughout the entire quest.
Yeah, so, but even in the original quest, the clues were planted.
The clues were there because, we are who we are and we know what we know. But to be able to get it out onto paper and show it to the world, that's a step above and beyond. So I'm going to say that was that was kind of a resonant note for me.
Well, your main connection to ElfQuest has always been through Skywise, hasn't it?
We are who we are.
Nothing wrong with that. I actually recently sat down and reread Stargazer's Hunt.
Oh, really?
Well, in anticipation of the other new book that's coming from Dark Horse Comics, which is The Complete ElfQuest Volume 8. That is the last of the in the series of omnibus editions that collect the main canon tale. And so this final volume, Volume 8, elves have eight fingers. So it's kind of a good place to end. Starts with Stargazer's Hunt and then takes us, which really is the bridge between the stuff that happened in the past on the World of Two Moons and the stories of the Future Quest era. And so the Complete ElfQuest Volume 8 is Stargazer's Hunt plus the Jink and the Rebels comic series all in one giant 800-plus page book. So I was rereading Stargazer's Hunt just in anticipation of that, and what an amazing book it really is, and a great story, and it has so much heart, and like you will cry when you read it. I think that's exactly what you meant.
Well, that's the whole point of the story, is that it was meant to be a cathartic release, a feeling of closure. Above all, I wanted the readers to come away with a feeling of closure, and yet there's also a feeling of more to come. Well,
this leads me to the next question. Our friend, I'm not sure I'm going to pronounce your name correctly, I think it's Tiago Borgi, asked this question very frequently on our ElfQuest social media. Are you working on new comics for ElfQuest? So, based on what you just said, I thought I would tee that question up. Okay, that's easily answered. At the moment, we are concentrating on our very full plate, which is piled like this high. And I'm growing it as I speak, on all that we have to do right now. But working on things often involves planning and having ideas and talking ideas through. And you can better believe that we're doing that.
Ooh. There are more stories.
Look at David.
There are more stories. And we are now, as Wendy absolutely correctly says, we have got a lot coming out over the next, well, here's something to think about, everybody. It's 2024, almost 2025. It's only 3 years to 2028.
Mhm.
And 2028 is ElfQuest's 50th golden anniversary. There's not another independent comics title
No.
extant, at least in the
No.
US,
That has that track record.
that has that track record and can say that. So in concert with Dark Horse, we're ramping up. Wendy made the metaphor of the roller coaster, and you click, click your way up,
Yeah.
and then suddenly whoosh. We've got a lot of irons in the fire with Dark Horse. And there are things that we have not yet talked about with them.
Yes. It's not time yet.
It's not time, but we are confident.
More confident than you are in getting that bag open.
Yeah.
Oh, it's Skywise. Skywise always makes trouble. So.
Well, I'm going to throw up another comment from Richard, who says, just a nice comment. Thank you for being a huge part of my childhood. ElfQuest is the best.
Oh, well, we hope it'll be part of your adulthood too.
And so this has all been a long way of answering the question, are you working on new comics? We're working on new stories. Let's put it that way.
New ideas.
New ideas.
Yeah.
And maybe new ways of expressing those ideas.
That's what's so exciting.
Yeah. And just so everybody knows, I don't really know any details of what they're talking about. So, they keep a very, keep it tight to the chest until it's time, even from me, which I'm totally fine with, because I like experiencing it and enjoying it, fresh, just like you guys. So, Tanya, our good friend Tanya, posted a comment about her podcast, Two Moons and a Microphone, which we mentioned earlier.
Yes, please talk about that.
Yeah, and so Tanya has launched a podcast called Two Moons and a Microphone. I love it in part because of the title. I don't know if you all know the Beck song, that is a sort of a riff on the lyric of two turntables and a microphone. So Tanya's podcast is Two Moons and a Microphone. It's part of the Sci-Fi Sisters network of podcasts. So Tanya, please be absolutely shameless and dump links to your podcast in the chat, because it's really incredible conversations, interesting takes on the stories of ElfQuest and the characters of ElfQuest.
And some pretty fabulous guests.
Exactly. So folks should definitely check that out. I'm going to post a longish comment here from Rick, who says, most fans know about the early changes you made to the story by bringing the twins from two boys to a boy and a girl, and letting Skywise live instead of dying after the waterfall scene. Are there other big changes with other characters that we don't know about yet, that you haven't talked about? And what changes are in hindsight changes you now would have done differently? So there's a bunch.
You think we're going to tell you? I mean, if we wanted you to know, you'd know.
If we keep secrets from David,
Exactly.
who works hand in glove with us, you best believe we're going to keep stuff from everyone else. Now, before we say another word, I want Jalal or Halal.
Halal.
Jalal. I'm butchering it, but there is one of your bases. If you're watching, we've been signing them while talking, but I wanted you to know we got you. So
I just threw a question up from Clarence Oddbody, who wants to know how many of the standees of Cutter and Lita are left. Just so everyone knows, if you go to streamily.com/ElfQuest, it's ticking across your screen. It's also pinned in the comments. That will take you to the Streamily store. And if you click on one of the standees, you'll see what the percentage is. That's the number that are left. So I'm looking at Lita right now. There are 8 Litas, individual Lita standees available. And
she is so gorgeous.
13 Cutters left. Sava and Skywise are already sold out as individual standees, but there are 6 sets of all 4 that are still available. So there's not that many left. And once this live stream ends, that's it. They're going into the archive, anything that's left. And you won't have a chance to get these particular standees anymore. So really don't wait, because they really are awesome. I'm going to...
One last thing to that question. From our position here, are there changes that we made that we would have done differently? And I'm saying no, because the changes that were made for very basic, important, honest storytelling reasons. For example, way back in the beginning of the development of ElfQuest, the questioner said that Cutter and Lita had 2 boys. 2 boys is almost a cliche.
Oh, not almost.
But having a boy and a girl is also, it has been done. But Wendy likes to take cliches and then flip them over. So instead of the warrior-like boy and the home nurturer girl, she switched. And that's why you have Ember the chiefess and Suntop the nurturer.
Children characters back in the 70s were not very common anyway. So to introduce children into a story was a bit of a daring move to begin with. But to make the little girl a strong little tomboy warrior, and make the little boy an extremely sensitive, magical, destined to be a Highwing, that was really kind of going out on a limb, but we did it and it worked.
Well, Wendy, going back to something you said a little bit earlier about, the thing that is sort of the core of ElfQuest is about finding, your safe place and finding your home, and the place where you can be you.
Yes.
What you did with Suntop and Ember made so many of us feel that, because, speaking as a, relatively shy, sensitive little boy who was into, nature and things, not into sports and all of that, like, I saw the line, "I'll be what I'll be," that Suntop says, and that it's just fully accepted that whatever he is, he's loved and nurtured and is free to be that. So powerful. And I know that everybody watching has a version of that from something in ElfQuest that you guys did. So I just want to say thank you for that.
Oh, well,
especially in
our hearts.
In these times, "I'll be what I'll be" is what so many people want to say and want to be heard. And the blowback on that is, is not pretty.
Yeah, we are in times of massive feedback. It's scary. It's scarier than ever to stand up and say out loud who you are, what you believe, what you stand for. But I also think it's wonderful. I think it's a wonderful challenge that people are getting a chance to develop the courage to speak up and say who they are.
Yes, I agree. So I'm going to throw another question up here, but Richard, yes. you let us know. I don't want to be slowing you down with questions, but this is another kind of big one.
All right, we're signing Alita for Adele right now. Just if you're there now, you know.
All right. By the way, I wanted to ask Clarence Oddbody, does he have his wings?
Oh.
David, do you get the reference?
I don't get the joke. I was just going to say.
Clarence will explain it to you.
Okay. Clarence, find me and send me a PM. And
it's a wonderful reference.
Yes.
See what I did there?
I see.
Clearly, I'm going to have to be Googling this.
Yeah.
So while Wendy is signing that, the question that I put up is from Gigi, who says, have you guys considered using AI to make the characters come to life in animation?
Whoa! How did you fit those two concepts into a single sentence? AI and life. No, AI, we will never use AI for the generation or drawing. AI has its uses, but
not from us, but who knows what Fox Entertainment will do as development of the ElfQuest streaming TV series continues. Who knows what processes the studio will use to enhance the animation or enhance the look of the characters. We are interested to see what they do. And at this point, we don't know how much we're going to have to say about it. But at the moment, we're just excited to see what they come up with. And it may involve AI. There's a lot of it going on in animation right now.
That's what Gigi says later down in the comments. So
Yeah.
I want to share another.
Let me get this.
Go ahead. Sorry.
She used the word enhance.
Mm-hmm.
And AI is great for enhancing something that is there. I use an image enhancer for some artwork that has, for example, was never scanned at a high resolution enough. And sometimes AI can enhance that artwork and make it useful, whereas before it wasn't useful.
Mm-hmm.
There's AI that enhances, and there's AI that replaces.
Yeah.
Replaces writers, replaces creators, replaces artists, and that we will never do.
No, never.
Well said. All right, Clarence Oddbody just posted this, so I don't get the joke, but I wanted to post it on the screen. I guess in reference to the wings, they're provisional, as I still tend to get into trouble, but I consider it good trouble. So.
There you go. All right. Well, that's most fitting, Clarence.
Yes. All right. Here's the other comment that I wanted to share as you're pulling up the next one.
Yes.
Justin Bauer says that been a reader since the 80s and never heard you guys speaking live. This is a treat. Thank you for years and years of stories.
You're very welcome. David, I need to ask.
Yes.
Did an order just pop up?
Let me see. Yes, quite possibly. I think order 536. For a bundle, I think just came in, and yes, it did just come in. So folks, bear with us while Richard grabs 4 of the standees. And so
this is from Natalie, and you all know this sensation. You're climbing stairs, you think there's one more stair, and it's not there, and you go, "Wow!"
Boom.
When this showed up on my screen and I'm keeping track of the numbers, that number's not there. Natalie, you just did that.
Yes. Look, she even says it. She said, "I did it. I just bought the ElfQuest standee bundle."
Yeah.
Okay. We have cut.
Yeah, that's the idea of leaving the shop open during the live stream. We want folks who just happen to stumble upon this. We know the social media algorithms are what they are, and we post constantly, and it only reaches a small fraction of ElfQuest fans. So we want people just finding this live stream and learning about this to have an opportunity to grab whatever's left. But it does make it a little bit more challenging for Richard there as he's wrangling the shop backstage and the actual physical thing. So.
I thought I could multitask. This is a new level of challenge.
Again, I know that you're up to it. All right, here's a comment from Vanessa who says, "I think that I'll be what I'll be is a good thing for today's youth, like my niece Eliza. Some kids like her are starting to really find themselves, and I get to be witness to that through her and her friends." So yeah, I think that's what it's really all about.
Well, and ElfQuest projects that message in so many different kinds of scenes and situations. It's not just for the children finding their identity, even the grown-up characters and some of the oldest ones learn more about themselves as the story progresses.
Well, heck, Stargazer's son Skywise.
Oh, Skywise.
Yeah, there's an aspect of I'll be what I'll be that he didn't himself even know until that story.
Well, what's interesting is by Stargazer's Hunt, Skywise is the child of the whole race now. Everybody has aged and grown up, and hundreds of years have gone by, but not for him. So so he is still very childlike. in his way.
Clarence commented, and now I get it. It's a reference. Clarence Oddbody is from It's a Wonderful Life.
There you are.
Yes.
There we are. So
That's
I'm not that much of a clueless person. Once I saw that, I put two and two together. Our friend Damon Terrell says that we are all so sweet. So thank you for that. We're really just all kind of big nerds. And so, who enjoy each other's company. And, so here we are.
Yeah, it's family. It's definitely family.
Here's a fun one for you, Wendy. Conan ElfQuest crossover ?
Conan ElfQuest cross. Cutter would beat the crap out of him. I mean, we did it. Do you remember the scary character Gromel Jun, the tyrant in
Shards?
In Shards? Well, Cutter got right on top of him and knocked him over. So that'd be about what would happen to Conan.
I love that. I feel like there's some old piece of art of Cutter facing off against Conan that you might have done with one of the Conan artists back in like the late 70s or early 80s. I might be making that up.
There might have been a gag like that, but there's that wonderful drawing of Cutter standing and looking up at Olbar the Mountain Tall. I love that.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, that's he's half as tall. I can't think of a face-off between Cutter and any traditional barbarian type.
Would you really want to see that? You wouldn't want to see Cutter face off with Conan.
No, but you know how obsessed fandoms are in general with crossovers. So I thought it was a funny one because I know it kind of drives you a little bit bonkers, Wendy.
Well, here's the thing. Fandom will find a way to paraphrase Jurassic Park.
They do. They always do.
So if there's somebody out there who says, I want to see a Conan Cutter face-off, somebody's going to do it.
I will say, there isn't as much ElfQuest fan out there, and I'm always surprised by this, fan art. There isn't as much ElfQuest fan art out there as I would really like to see. So if any of you have wanted to and are hesitant for any reason, just go for it and post it on the ElfQuest fan page. I'd love to see it.
Well, there you have it, folks. Wendy Pini herself telling you that she wants to see more ElfQuest fan art. So I know there's some incredible, talented fan art artists out there. And by that, I don't necessarily mean that you have to be on Wendy's level of our artistic skill. Any kind of fan art is good fan art. So
yes,
get out there. And again, this is the kind of stuff that I am constantly questing across the internet, looking for to feature on the official ElfQuest social media, in my newsletter, The Howl, that goes out once a month. In fact, one of the people whose fan art I featured is in the chat today, Tony, and got her art, or her fan art. It was sort of craft fan art, I guess. It wasn't a painting or a drawing. It was a fairy house from a fairy garden that she turned into the father tree for her ElfQuest miniatures. So that's fan art. So I love looking for it. I love finding it. So how are you doing there, Richard?
Natalie is complete now.
Okay. Great.
We can go back to the numbering.
Look at all the Savas. Wow.
Oh yeah, Sava was really popular this time. When we introduced her for the last Streamily live stream we did in May, she didn't sell as many as I was hoping she would. We sold about half of them. This time, she flew off the shelves, and
she's surge.
And again, I'm getting that green screen.
There, I'll hold her up.
Yeah. There you go, David.
She's
beautiful.
Just statuesque and regal.
She really is. And it's rare to find in the comics full body shots of the characters. And so this one comes from Siege of Blue Mountain, issue number 3. and it always stood out to me as just a gorgeous. Oh wait, no, actually, I take it back. This is from Kings of the Broken Wheel, issue
Yes.
4, I think, or maybe it was
Mhm.
3, or maybe it was 2. Gosh, my ElfQuest trivia, I'm
Well,
failing.
it's
Anyway,
in Kings of the Broken Wheel somewhere.
right, exactly.
David, you're worrying us.
It's the cold medicine affecting my brain.
We count on you.
Know this stuff. I know. Oh, here's one, Wendy, that you'll love to see. Libby Christie says that they really loved the Mask of the Red Death. Is there a possibility of an ElfQuest animatic? So why don't you talk about the animatic, the Mask of the Red Death, for just a moment?
Well, what an animatic is it's a very limited animation cartoon that is kind of like a test for what a full animated cartoon could look like. I'm sure you've seen them on the Disney Channel many times. And so Mask of the Red Death is my 400-page graphic novel take on the Edgar Allan Poe horror story of the same name. And out of the artwork from that graphic novel, I did a web comic. And let me sign this and I'll come right back. I can't talk and sign at the same time.
I am pulling up the website.
Uh-huh.
And I'm going to drop in the chat.
Suzanne, you have a Sava, and here's your signed base.
So long story short, I took the artwork from the graphic novel. I turned it into frames, and I made basically music videos of all the songs for the Mask of the Red Death musical thriller composed by Gregory Neighbors, which he and I have been working on for well over 10 years, 12 years. And it turned into a 2-hour film that the folks at Ascendant Animation fell in love with, and they took it and they nurtured it and they perfected it and put it up on Amazon Prime Video. And now, after all of that, it's also coming out as a 2-disc Blu-ray set with lots of wonderful extras. So that is the story of the Mask animatic, and it's all available to you on Amazon.
And I just dropped the link to the Mask Musical website in the chat. It's up on your screen. You can also just go directly to Amazon and find the streaming versions of it. But the other part of that question was a question that I myself have had.
Oh, an ElfQuest animatic?
What about an ElfQuest animatic at some point?
Don't you think I've already fooled around with that?
No, I have to jump in here. Wendy spent a lot of time putting Mask into a 2-hour animatic because the musical thriller, which we're also hoping to get to off-Broadway or even Broadway at some point, because it's on the level of Phantom of the Opera, Sweeney Todd.
Oh yeah, it is excellent, beyond excellent.
She spent a lot of time making this animatic, and it's 2 hours. We got, even if we only look at the original quest, the 4 books of the original quest, how many hours do you suspect that animatic would eat up of your life?
That's why we're going for a streaming TV series with we don't know how many episodes. But that said, do believe me when I say I have absolutely played with animating various little moments of ElfQuest, and perhaps someday we'll put them all together and you guys will be able to see them.
Well, here's one thing that I do know. For everything that Wendy and Richard very generously share with me, there's probably a mountain's worth that they keep tight to their chest and a secret like that. So maybe one day.
But, hey, you were supposed to be here, and there was stuff we were going to show you.
I know. Damn this cold.
Hey, we have taught you everything you know, right?
Yes.
We haven't taught you everything we know.
Oh, stop.
So I want to answer this question while you guys sign. So Kara Lee A is asking, what's the fan page? She did a drawing. So the fan page that Wendy was referring to is on Facebook. So if you go to Facebook, there's ElfQuest, the official page where we're live streaming right now. But there's also there's actually a bunch of different fan created groups. And there's one that is just ElfQuest. And that's the biggest fan group. And Wendy and Richard are members there, and they participate. And I'm sort of the head admin there with a few other fans. And so that's a great place to connect with other fans and to share your fan art. But, not everybody is on Facebook anymore. And so we are on pretty much all of the other social medias. And I do look at them almost every day, looking for just this exact kind of thing to share far and wide. So
quite frankly, we don't know what we'd do without you, David, because we can't spend that much time on social media. That's why I kind of stick to Facebook, and I don't expand to any.
And you're wise to do
platforms,
because it will suck away your life energy as well as your time. And
There
we'd
you
rather
are.
have you, be doing all the amazing creative things than scrolling through, X or something. But at any rate, whatever platform you're on, just tag ElfQuest. Either do @ElfQuest is our handle on most platforms, or use a hashtag if your platform supports that, and I'll find it. And again, I'll share it on other platforms. I'll link to it directly. I won't just swipe it, or I'll maybe feature it in one of our newsletters. So, and who is this for, Richard?
If Sharon, if you're here, we just did your Skywise.
Great. So we've got about 15 more signings, but several of those are the bundles of 4, and we're just over 7 p.m. So why don't we do this? Why don't you guys? I'm going to hold off on questions for the moment, so you guys can plow through a few of these.
Sounds good. Although the questions have been really enjoyable.
Good.
You know what? Someday I would like to just do an online Q&A like this, like use this venue or one like it, and just do a Q&A with the fans, just bounce things back and forth.
We can absolutely set that up. I know that we could use a platform like StreamYard, which is what we're using right now. We could set up a big Zoom for everybody. So I think we can definitely make that happen somewhere down the line.
Well, if everybody out there who's listening would like that, we would certainly be up for that.
All right, awesome. Hang on here. Sheila Whedon has asked a question, and I want to address it because I don't know the answer. But she is asking about closed captioning on the live stream for deaf and hard of hearing fans. And I unfortunately don't have the answer to that. I don't know if that's a possibility here, but I'm going to look into it. And so apologies, Sheila. I will type this into the comments so that you will actually see it. So just wanted to acknowledge that because we want to make sure that we make a space where everyone is invited, and we did not do that here in terms of closed captioning. So for the next one, I am going to make it my goal to make sure that we can do that.
Okay, this is for Keith. We have done your Skywise. Wish you could see better, but proof of life.
Proof of signing.
I'm for keeping going.
Oh, more. He's saying more questions.
Okay. I will. I'm seeing folks. Damon Terrell, Draco Dawn Stars, who's Natalie, are all for a Q&A live stream. So that's just that, where you're not distracted signing stuff.
Okay.
But you can do a practice run here because
yeah,
it's taking me some moments to get everything out of here. So let's you can talk, I can talk.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, I just wanted to respond to that comment that Sheila posted about the closed captioning. So that's now in the stream. But others are saying that they are seeing closed captioning. So I'm not sure if they're watching on YouTube. I think that might be an option on YouTube, and it might not be on Facebook. So if you're watching on Facebook and you're not seeing closed captioning, maybe hop over to YouTube, to the official ElfQuest channel there, and we're streaming there live as well. So let's see if I have any other questions that have popped up while we've been.
You know, this happens at every convention we go to. We have a table, we sit there. People say, I drove 600 miles to be here. Anything you want to ask? No.
Well, I think in defense of fans meeting you for the first time, I think sometimes folks get a little tongue-tied. They're a little starstruck. So, you know, sometimes they probably walk away and think of 500 questions and are kicking themselves.
Well, turn around and come back.
Yeah. Well, and actually, I'm glad you're bringing this up because seriously, folks, I go to conventions with Wendy and Richard and have for many years, and they truly do want to talk to you. So don't be afraid. Don't be intimidated. They're quite lovely. They're not going to bite. And so just, you know, be open and free to ask your questions. I think, you know.
Absolutely.
You know.
And it's so funny because we don't see us. When you come up to us, you know, we're just folks, you know, and there's really no need for all this starstruck thing because that's certainly not how we're feeling when we're standing there.
Yes, I love that. All right, so we've got another question here for another of your non-ElfQuest projects, Wendy. Howler Mouse wants to know, how did you get the gig for the Innovation Comics, I think it was First Comics, Beauty and the Beast one-shots?
Okay, just before you answer, Kara, here's your base for Sava.
Awesome.
My answer is I fought for that. You know, I thought Beauty and the Beast as a TV series was one of the most inventive, unusual, fantastically acted, and expensively mounted shows I'd ever seen. And the fantasy element was something you just don't see every day on TV. And I really wanted to support it. So I started talking to the staff and even to Rick Obadiah, the CEO of First Comics, and let him know my interest in doing this. And they were very supportive of me. The gatekeeper I really had to get past was Ron Koslow, the creator of the show, because he didn't even know what a graphic novel was.
Didn't Linda Hamilton say?
Linda Hamilton was like, graphic novel? You're going to let him do pornographic Beauty and the Beast?
Oh my God, bless her heart. I've never heard that story. It makes me love Linda Hamilton even more.
That's what the term graphic novel suggested to people. It's not what everybody knows it today.
Absolutely. Back in the late 80s, not everybody was familiar with the term graphic novel. So anyway, I had to write, I think it was 4 different scripts for Ron Koslow, and I had to write them in the form of TV scripts. He didn't know how to evaluate a graphic novel script. It had to be in a format he could understand. And hang on one second.
Yes, hold that thought. Wendy's signing.
Hold that thought. And it began to look like I wasn't going to be able to get the gig because by the 3rd try, Ron was, you know, I'm not really getting this. So I gave it one more try and I came up with this story, Portrait of Love. And that was the one that clicked with Ron. He said that felt like a real episode of the show. And I'll close by saying I was terribly honored that of all the people who ever did stories for Beauty and the Beast outside of the TV series, I was the one that Ron trusted to write 2 new original stories of the characters. Other things that were done were adaptations of TV episodes, but I got to do 2 new stories, and I got to let Vincent and Catherine say goodbye to each other. It was wonderful.
Well, they're lovely, lovely books. I tracked them down. I didn't get them at the time for some reason. I don't know. You know, it was pre-internet, and I don't think I really knew that you did them until they were already out. And so,
Yeah.
late 80s, it was hard to keep in the know on a lot of stuff. So, so while you guys are signing, there's a couple of questions that I think I can answer. But, Richard, I know you'll chime in if there's something to add or I get something wrong. So the first one, Antonia is asking, is there any news on a merchandise shop like Redbubble? And so I can answer in as much as basically to pull a Wendy and Richard and just say grin, because no, I'm actually going to not be that cruel. So we had a Redbubble shop, and before that a Cafe Press shop. These are print on demand shops, and there's never been huge numbers of people buying stuff from them, to be very blunt. So we decided to close down the Redbubble shop, temporarily, but maybe not. We'll see, and focus on working with some really great small businesses to produce some pretty incredible ElfQuest merch. And so if you're following us on the socials, you will know all about things like the incredible ElfQuest challenge coin series that we did with a company called Stands. Really, really awesome. Let me see if I have one handy. Hang on one second.
The challenge coins, I'll jump in here. What we liked about Stands, this company, is that they produce items that are licensed, and of course ElfQuest is a license. And challenge coins are these very cool, weighty tokens. But the thing about Stands is whatever they and we make, a chunk of that goes to charity. And we have named 2 wolf preservation charities. One is Wolf Park, that we've been associated with since 1981. And the other one is here in New York State. It's the Wolf Conservancy. I forget the exact name.
Yes.
The Wolf Conservation Center in New York.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
wonderful place.
So far, we have raised some thousands of dollars for each of them through these coins.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And when you say we, that's including you out there who have purchased the coins, because it's your purchase that allows Stands to make that donation. So you're really a participant with Wendy and Richard in this really incredible, wolf conservation work and wolf education work. So that's just one example. We've also got a partnership with LaserMock. Back since the 90s, they produce these really cool laser cut ElfQuest art pieces. They have some holiday ornaments. We're cooking up something new with them that we'll be announcing, I would say, in the next couple of months. And that's all I'm going to say about that. Streamily, of course, we're doing this live stream, for Streamily, for the beautiful ElfQuest standees that Wendy and Richard are autographing right now. And let's take a second to check our numbers here.
By the way, this pack, I'm sorry if I didn't show it for Angela. These are yours.
Awesome. So we are totally sold out of the Saba standee as an individual standee, and no surprises, we sold out of Skywise as well. But we do still have 8 Litas, and Lita is truly gorgeous. Like this particular piece of art that you did, Wendy, I don't know. Lita's always beautiful, but this one, I don't know. There's just something about it.
Well, that was the costume design. That was my drawing where I designed that particular costume. So it has a little historical element too.
Right, yeah. And this was an outfit, I think, that she wore in the Searcher and the Sword era. I think is when you designed that.
Yeah, I think it appeared in Searcher and the Sword, and I think possibly in Hidden Years as well.
Okay.
But there's stuff David remembers better than we do. So.
Yes, and there's stuff. Wendy has done so much art over the years that I have archives down here, and every once in a while I'll go digging because we need a piece of art for some purpose, and I'll pull out something gorgeous, and Wendy will say, "When the hell did I do that? I don't remember doing that."
Yeah, I'm lucky in a way, because if my brain retained everything I draw and every idea I write down, I would be in the banana bin. I really would.
Well, that's what us obsessive fans are for, to remember all that stuff and write it down. But I want to just finish my thought there and say that there are 13 of the cutter standees remaining. So there's 8
Lucky
leeches,
number.
13 cutters, and that's it. That's the end of these. And so if you want one of them, there were only 100 cutters made, and then 50 each of the other characters. So these truly are limited edition items, and they're not going to, Streamily is not going to make any more. So this really is your last shot in these next, few minutes until this live stream ends to grab one of them. They really are awesome collectibles. They look incredible on the shelf. So, and if you're just joining us and you haven't heard my spiel, the store is streamily.com/elfquest. It's clicking across your screen. It's pinned in the comments. So you got just a few minutes, and I know I sound very telethon. Only minutes left to make your pledge, but it really is true.
But that's the truth, because this is the last of these, and we are very happy that
2024 is coming to a close, folks.
Yeah,
we're wrapping a lot of stuff up.
We're very happy that so many of you wanted so many of them, but there's still these last few you can get.
That's right.
And so it's coming.
Yes. And so, Tony, just to summarize all that, Redbubble is still there. We have the shop closed. We may or may not reopen it. We're focused on developing really cool merch with Streamily and stands and Laser Mock. Oh, and by the way, the other big piece of news that dropped is that the ElfQuest role-playing game is coming back.
Aha.
Yes.
That's another piece of merch, really, that's coming out. It's not sort of decorative merch, it's active gaming merch. But I'm particularly excited about this one because I got the game when it originally came out, and it was just such an incredible spark to my imagination. In fact, I wrote all about it in the September edition of the Howl newsletter that dropped today. So check your inboxes for that. But at any rate, there's a lot of cool ElfQuest merch coming that is being done by these really great small businesses. Some of them, like stands, are donating to charity. So that's kind of where our focus is with ElfQuest merch. And literally with all of them, we're working on some new thing that you have not even heard about yet. So stay tuned, watch all of the ElfQuest socials, sign up on the ElfQuest website for our mailing list, and you'll be in the know on everything. And if you're on the mailing list, another plug for that, because we sometimes get special discount codes just for newsletter subscribers. We sometimes have merch giveaways just for newsletter subscribers that we don't offer to people on social media. So it's really worth it. And you get content from Richard, but sometimes Wendy and me that isn't anywhere else. So
yeah.
I
have to say, I think 2025 is going to be one hell of a year for ElfQuest. Pardon my French.
Heck yeah.
So,
by the way, Bridget and Linda, we're doing your bundle right now.
And Linda wants.
Well, no. I've already taken care of that.
Okay, good.
It's just, people have tuned in, and I'm falling a little behind on showing things, but I want to at least shout out to the people who have ordered something. Yes, you're there. You're right on my screen, right there. I'm looking at you. We're doing it right now. So we didn't lose you.
Another nice comment from Shelley, who says, I do want to thank you both for creating ElfQuest, as it was a lifeline for me throughout my adolescence.
Oh.
Again, I think a lot of us feel that way. So Psychro has an interesting question that I've wondered about as well. They ask, I have a random question. I've wondered about it since I noticed it. The Fantasy Quarterly cover. Is there a reason to have One Eye on the cover? And Psychro says that they're a big One Eye fan, so they kind of fangirled a little bit at the fact that you included him. And I think the question's coming from a place that One Eye was essentially a very minor background character. So the fact that he got the cover space on that very first appearance of ElfQuest made me curious too. And maybe it was just because you hadn't really figured out who the big players were going to be, but What do you?
Well,
what do
Nightfall made it, and One Eye made it, and the reason One Eye made it is because he looked cool.
you?
You know,
There you go.
he's just a really cool looking elf with that eye patch and that hat and everything. He was a pretty classic looking elf, so he seemed to be appropriate to put on the cover. I think, and I'm trying to go back in my memory 50 years, but
I think that's a good
right.
answer, and it makes total sense. So
Eye patches are dramatic.
Yes, they are.
Just ask any pirate.
Yeah, One Eye always had that piratey thing going on.
all right, so here's an interesting little bit of trivia. Whether or not it's true, I don't know. But Doug McCool says, I was reading an old issue of Heavy Metal from 1982 and found a letter from the Pinis in the letters column. I was like, wait, is that them? Do either of you ever remember writing a letter to the magazine Heavy Metal?
I sure don't.
It's possible. And because it's possible, I almost certainly have a copy of that issue of Heavy Metal in the archives behind me. I could not, to save my life at the moment, tell you what that letter might have been about. If the person who asked the question has that in front of him or her, toss it out. Let's see. Maybe it'll spark a memory.
What's the letter about?
Yeah, let us know, Doug. And if you have you can post it on social media too. If you have, screenshots or, a photo of it, it might trigger a memory. But I thought that was an interesting question.
Yeah, our experience was really with Epic Illustrated, with Marvel. Epic Illustrated was kind of Marvel's answer to Heavy Metal. And I had my experience artistically with them.
In fact, in the Dark Horse renewal of book 2 of the original Quest, that's where the story Homespun,
yes,
which appeared in the first issue of Epic Illustrated, which was Marvel's answer to Heavy Metal. They wanted me to write an introduction to Homespun.
Mm-hmm.
And in doing some research, it occurred to me that Marvel, since its beginning in the late 1930s, was always a company that if they saw some other company's magazine doing well, they wanted to do like 6 more of the same thing. If Westerns were doing well, they were going to do a bunch of Westerns and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
So Heavy Metal came out in 1977.
Mm-hmm.
And Marvel still had that vibe, which, this adult magazine size anthology, let's do one of our own.
Mm-hmm.
And the editor, Archie Goodwin, had the very good sense to ask Wendy to be a part of the first issue.
I know, I was thrilled.
Well, it's a great story. I think that's the first appearance of Petalwing and the Preservers, right?
It is the first appearance of Petalwing and the Preservers, and I also got to get a little frisky with the artwork, which I really enjoyed. And I heard Stan Lee said, now that's how to do a sex scene in comics.
Well, there you go. Well, it was like everything else you do, Wendy. It was beautiful first and foremost, but it was classy. It was tasteful. It was, the exact opposite of what poor Linda Hamilton thought of when you said the word graphic novel to her.
Also, in that story, you get to see the Preservers as being slightly more sinister than they ended up being. In ElfQuest, they're wacky, they're irritating, they're semi-comedic. In Homespun, which is their first appearance, there's a darkness to them. They're a little bit scary. What's the line? Some things will get you if you don't watch out.
Yeah, there was that creepy element of introducing them and demonstrating that they didn't really have much conscience about who they wrapped up or what they wrapped up or why.
Yeah.
And just to demonstrate that they just weren't human, that they were thinking on some other level.
Yeah, well, it worked. I mean, they're very weird, the Preservers, let's be honest. And
Yes.
sometimes they are creepy. And actually, I really liked the little insights that you included about preservers in Stargazer's Hunt, with the character Thistlecap, who accompanies Skywise off on his, his star journey. And
Yeah.
we learned some new things, even in these in these ElfQuest stories that are, after 40 plus years of the story that came before it. You guys are still revealing new things and still sharing new world building things.
Thank you, David. I'm sorry I interrupted.
No, go ahead.
That's because the story itself calls for certain things. The Thistlecap was Skywise's companion on his journey through the stars, and it gave the two characters the opportunity to interact, and for Thistlecap's little brain to express itself in a very preserver way, and for Skywise to come to relate to that. So it was kind of a delightful experience to have the two of them relating to each other almost as friends.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And two more different points of view you could not get. And it is really helpful sometimes to get a different point of view. And I didn't think of that.
One of my favorite moments in Stargazer's Hunt is when Skywise holds up his hands and realizes that he's passing through the stars, that if he were small enough, he could even pass through his own hands. He's beginning to understand the nature of the universe and how it's very different from what he saw on the world of Two Moons. Now he's traveling through it, and everything is much bigger and much farther apart than he originally thought.
Yeah, I have to say that I am much more of the go back Wolf Rider mentality. I think in Stargazer's Hunt of the new character introduced, Noka, who's already one of my absolute favorites because she's just the definition of sass, and has amazing hair.
I know, she calls Goldruff shagback me.
What a term of endearment. But I think she says something like, hell no, I'm not getting into that pod that's going to stretch me and squish me. And
yes,
it too also comments on that, like about just not having any interest in sort of that spacefaring stuff and like sticking in, trolls are perfectly shaped already. We don't need to shape change. That's sort of where my poor brain, my earthbound brain kind of sticks to. I'm with Noka and with Trinket on that. But I have a comment from Damon that I put up while you were talking, Richard, about the homespun story that is included. It's going to be included in the Dark Horse book 2. But what I wanted to add to it is that, there have been various color collected editions of ElfQuest over the years, and every single one of them is a little bit different. There's different coloring treatments, there's different extras. So, if people are thinking that these Dark Horse books are literally just going to be the exact same things as the DC Archives edition, they're not. There's differences. And, it's still the same story, but there's an effort being made to make sure that there is something different for all of us diehard collectors who want to have something new when they're getting the story that they already own in 4 different formats, So,
and don't forget, we love the fans and we love that they are collectors. But these books are going to be some new readers' first exposure to ElfQuest. And of all of the color incarnations, from the very first right on up, this is the best. It's the truest.
It's the definitive.
It's the definitive. And frankly, we want to, as many fans of ElfQuest as the story has gathered over the years, we want these books to gather that many more.
Yes.
So I am checking in on how many we have remaining to sign, and also looking at the clock. It's 7:30, so we've got 7 more in queue, and 3 of those are bundles. So I'm thinking we should try to wrap no later than 8. So that gives us about 30 minutes
Well, I'm going as fast as I can.
Yeah, he really has been whipping through these.
All right. No pressure. No pressure.
Of course there's pressure.
We will get this done.
We're definitely going out for martinis after this.
I wish I could join you. I wish I was up for a martini right now with this stupid cold, but it will be NyQuil for me. So,
well, NyQuil can have the same effect.
Enough.
I know.
And you'll be in happy land.
Yeah.
So Doug has replied, and this was back to his comment about the letter that you guys wrote, one of you wrote, or both of you, to Heavy Metal, and says it was from the August 1982 issue. Apparently, they wanted to clarify that ElfQuest was a group effort. Seems some writer at Heavy Metal had credited ElfQuest to just one of them. So in other words, they probably either said, ElfQuest by Wendy Pini and not Wendy Richard, or vice versa, is probably what it was all about.
Back in those days, it was extremely important to us that the world understood that we were a husband and wife team, and that we shared an equal role in the creation of ElfQuest. There's always prejudice towards the artist, and people get all excited about the artwork and focus on the artist. And it was really important to us that people understand the contribution that Richard made, not only as editor, not only as publisher, but also to the story and the creation of the characters themselves. That was really important to us back then, to make sure that nobody overlooked either one of us, really.
Yeah. And, I've seen instances, both historical and even to this day, where the opposite happens, where people think because Richard's the man that he's the one doing it all.
Still happens.
So many artists, so many writers, and so many writer-artists who are a single person are males.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's been the history of comics from the beginning, and it's an understandable momentum, but it's no longer a useful one.
In 50 years, the comics industry hasn't really changed all that much, and there aren't really all that many women creators in the comics. There's an awful lot of women in behind the scenes in publishing and editorial. But women artists, we're still hen's teeth, pretty much.
Yeah, there's still a lot of work to be done there, I think.
Yeah.
And, so all of you artists out there who identify as women, get out there, make your stuff, get into the world, create, like Wendy was saying earlier, and that's how we're going to make the change happen. So,
didn't you just post something? Do what you want to see.
Yes.
Oh, that's what I'm thinking of. You didn't say it here. You posted it on Facebook, but
whatever you want to read and it's not out there, you make it yourself. That's what we did.
So April Landon just joined us and says, I didn't expect this to still be live. I'm glad I'm catching some of it. And April, I was just rushing us along because I was like, we've been on this thing for an hour and a half already. So your comment couldn't have come in at a better time. We're glad that you joined us, and we've just been nattering on about all sorts of fun stuff while Wendy and Richard signed the stand.
Richard has not let up for a moment, and I'm amazed at his the rhythm that he has worked up here.
Yes, it's impressive.
You get it going, and we'll get it done.
So, folks, if you for folks who are still watching, please do drop your comments and your questions. I will put them on the screen if they're good ones, and Wendy and Richard will answer them. So we've got about 7 more items to sign. A few of them are bundles. So we will be, for everybody watching, we will be wrapping relatively soon. And so I'm going to do one last pitch. What Wendy and Richard are signing are the absolutely gorgeous ElfQuest character standees. These are produced exclusively for Shrinley, who's hosting us tonight. And these are limited edition autographed ElfQuest collectibles. You cannot get them anywhere else. Wendy and Richard are autographing them right now. If you want to grab one, they will autograph it for you and show your name on camera and say your name on camera before we wrap here. There are only about 8 Litas remaining and 13 cutters, and then there are 4 sets of all 4 standees, which include Lita and Cutter and Skywise and Saba. The Skywise and Sabas are sold out as individuals, but you still can get them. There's 4 of the bundle of all 4 of them left. And again,
we have our set of all 4 standing up here in Richard's office, and they just are quite a gorgeous quartet.
They really are. And we were talking earlier about they look kind of fragile because they're made of this clear, they look like they're glass and like you have to treat them delicately. And I clumsily have dropped my cutter a couple of times. They're made out of acrylic, so they're pretty durable and they don't scratch. The artwork is actually encased in the acrylic, and they're double-sided too. So depending on how you line them up on your shelf, if you want cutter looking to the left or looking to the right, you have it both ways.
Okay.
You've got options.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
you have options. Lolly and Marion just joined us and just saw the email that we sent out reminding folks. And so, yes, unfortunately, you did miss your live signing earlier, but a reminder that these live streams are going to be saved on our YouTube channel and our Facebook channel. So if you missed it, you can just go back and watch it again. So glad you can make it, Jalalia, as well.
I like this. This one's for Adele. I like the comment.
Payday happened, so I decided I needed a cutter to go with Lita and complete my set of standees.
There you go. Thank God for payday.
We are getting close here.
Yes, we are.
So yeah.
If anybody has a favorite character and wants to ask a question about that character, you can do that.
Oh, these are my favorite kinds of questions.
Yeah.
So don't disappoint us, everybody watching. We know you have questions that you would like to ask specific characters. So think of those questions and drop them in the chat here, and Wendy and/or Richard will answer them.
You can even ask us, why did you do that? Questions. Like for some of the things that happened in Final Quest. Oh my God.
Well, I remember going all the way back to the original quest. We got to issue 15 of the original quest. Why did you kill One Eye? I said, we didn't.
We
the
didn't.
Trolls did.
Yeah, the trolls did.
Don't blame us.
So there you have it. That's the kind of answer you can expect.
Green.
Yeah, accountability. Who? Us?
It's funny. I just put pressure on everybody else, and I'm trying to think of a question that I would ask.
I would love to have a question from you that you've never asked before, and that's hard to imagine.
Yeah, I'm completely drawing a blank. Again, as soon as we're not doing this, I'll probably think about 100 of them. But
all right, your favorite character is Red Lance. What do you want to ask about him?
So I want to ask Red Lance, what part of the plant is where the life is strongest?
The word that popped into my head is the roots. The roots and the roots are a form of communication it's a network of communication with other plants.
Right. Well,
and they actually take care of each other.
They do. They absolutely do. Which actually leads me to an actual question that I've had. In Final Quest, Red Lance becomes the defender of the Rootless One's Dell. The fire's coming, and it's kind of, it's sort of a story beat with Red Lance over the years. He couldn't stop the original Holt fire. Siege of Blue Mountain, he was able to stop the humans from setting the Holt on fire. And then, thousands of years later, sort of that same sort of theme with him. But he has this affinity and this affection for the Rootless Ones. And so my question for Red Lance is, how do you perceive and relate to these very, very strange elves? What is it that connects you to them?
See, when you ask a question of a character, I will listen for what the character says. And this is kind of funky, but he said this by smell.
That makes sense for a wolf rider, right?
Now, why does that make complete sense to you?
Well, it makes sense because A, he's a wolf rider and he has sort of the heightened sense of smell, but the rootless ones sort of take the form of decomposition, right? That's their whole jam, right? Like they have decided we're not going to kill, we're just going to exist and we're going to absorb in. And I'm thinking right now, one of the things that you have established from the very beginning in the original quest, and we saw it actually happen in Stargazer's Hunt, was when the elves are traveling in the palace or pods, they know how to basically absorb energy, nutrients from the matter around them, right?
Yeah, because in space there's more stuff than you realize,
right?
And you can actually draw nutrients from it,
right? And it strikes me that the rootless ones are doing a version of that they can do on the World of Two Moons. They're basically absorbing the matter that exists in the form of dead things that needs to be recycled, right?
Yes,
that's what they do. They're recyclers, and they're kind of doing the same thing that their ancestors would have done in the pod, but they do it in the way that they can in the World of Two Moons.
Yes, and they are such pliant shapeshifters that they can completely lose any structure to their bodies. They can actually become almost like puddles of goo.
Yes.
Now, see, you should do a whole issue with them as puddles of goo. That would be so easy to draw. Go.
Well, I did that one panel with the eyeballs coming out of
coming up from the ground. Yes.
I love doing that.
Goo Quest. You should call up your buddy Sergio Aragonés and do a spin on Gru and Goo and Goo Quest. There's a crossover.
Now, see, what we're doing right here is what just purely a Q&A would be like. I think it would be tons of fun.
Yes, absolutely. And folks are, the rootless ones conversation has sparked a whole bunch of comments. So I probably don't have a chance to read them all, but Jalalia says the roots of trees take even more care of their offspring, even more than they take care of others. I love it. It's very true. A lot of the new science looking at trees and the interdependence of trees in a woodland environment and mycelium, the fungus network. It's really amazing stuff.
It's kind of like the brain.
The nervous system.
The nervous system, but also the brain of the tree.
So here's another question, spinning off of the rootless ones conversation from April. Are there any of the rootless ones possibly previously named obscure characters? We know Saba knew them either from shared memory or directly at one time. And I know what the answer to this is going to be, but...
Oh, okay.
Grin.
Exactly. April, I think you know what that means. For anybody else that is not as familiar, that basically means that there's all sorts of answers to that question, and you ain't gonna get them out of Wendy and Richard until they appear in the story. So,
see, a lot of people start off. They say, "Can I ask you a question?" You say, "Absolutely, you can ask us anything." And then they ask, and I said, "We didn't say we'd answer."
Right. To which I say, "Wise ass."
All right.
I always thought Red Lance was drawn to the rootless ones because they're so close to plant life, closer than he could ever get. I find that an interesting comment.
Well,
at least for now.
At least for now. Yeah.
April also adds that the rootless ones make her think of again mycota, sort of the fungal life that exists, and I think that's what they're based on.
Yeah, there is definitely a fungal element to how they're drawn, and really, if you were to meet them in real life, it would be a highly odoriferous experience.
Now, this is another thing that we haven't talked about this, but I thought about it. How you made the rootless ones be kind of stinky because they're all about decomposition, but I just want to say that there are some of us who like the smell of compost.
Sure, you love to work, with your hands in the fertilizer and everything.
Exactly.
A lot of people love that.
Yeah. So, I'm assuming that their smell is more on the end of the decomposition spectrum that you get, with sort of dead animals versus dead plants, where the dead plants are that rich, humusy, earthy smell. The dead animals would be the grody kind of rot smell. So,
well, I would think it would be a combination because they'll eat anything that dies there.
right. That's true. That's true. And that makes them a little bit more endearing to me to know that they don't just smell like rotting flesh. So, all right. Natalie has another fantastic question, which is kind of tongue in cheek. Will the bread elf ever teach Skyways how to make his own bread? The bread lady.
Skywise?
Well, Skywise stole the loaf.
Skywise the baker? No.
Skywise stole the baker's bread, and so I think that's where the question's coming from.
Yeah, no. He has talents, but baking is not among them.
Natalie, you have crust.
Natalie, by the way, shout out to your absolutely perfect, spot on bread lady cosplay. That's another thing.
Oh, is this the bread lady cosplayer?
It is, yes.
Nicely done.
It really was. And another piece of ElfQuest fan art that I featured in the ElfQuest Howl newsletter that I've talked about a few times. If you want to get that newsletter delivered, along with Richard's newsletters and a bunch of other stuff, just go to elfquest.com and click join, and you can sign up to get those emails. All right. So now here's a question that I think Kara, I think you might mean a different character. The question is, will Nightfall get a boyfriend? Maybe not, though. I mean, we know the elves are into polyamory, so maybe
yeah.
We'll have a boyfriend.
From what direction does that question come? Because
I'm not sure.
You could definitely say that Cutter was her boyfriend.
Totally, right?
And,
I mean, the three of them were, a throuple for 500 years.
They were a throuple for a long time. So she had the best. She had Redlance and Cutter.
An embarrassment of riches, in terms of
I would say so. And then they were a fourple also when Lita, when they
right, when she came back, exactly. Yeah, in fact, there's the whole there's the scene in Dreamtime where you can see the four of them all snuggled up in their little tree den.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, Richard, I'm checking in with you. Are you good? Oh my gosh, we're down to the final one.
No. This is the final order. It's a bundle, right?
Uh-huh.
It is a bundle.
We're signing it now.
Yes.
All right. So, folks, you literally have seconds. Like, we'll stay on here for like another minute after they sign this to do our goodbyes. If you want these standees, this is your last chance.
No. We're done.
Okay.
Richard wants to be done.
I take it back. All right. Well, while you're doing that last one there, I'll wrap us up here. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you, Wendy and Richard, as always, for giving up so much of your time to just chill with ElfQuest fans and share all of this stuff and answer questions. And, of course, for making these awesome standees available with Streamily. They're really beautiful. So thank you, everybody out there who was watching tonight. Really great questions, lots of fun comments. Love it. And we definitely are going to follow up on that Wendy's idea there of just doing like a fireside chat with Wendy and Richard where we can all get together and just answer questions and have some fun.
We are going to make it so because this is the most fun part of doing the Streamily events is
I agree. So, all right. Well, Richard, you tell me, are we done officially? Everyone's been signed?
We're done. There's two more to sign for Order 537, but as far, I mean, we're an hour overtime here.
Yes.
So we'll sign, but can we wrap?
Yes, we can wrap. Absolutely. I just wanted to make sure that you were good and that I wasn't going to cut you off. So, all right, guys. Well, again, thanks for watching. We, find us on all the socials. Go to elfquest.com for links to all of our social media, to links to all of our fantastic merch partners, sign up for the newsletter, stay in the know. Don't miss out on all of the latest elf news because you'll be sad if you did. And until next time, we'll schedule one of these fireside chats in the coming weeks or months, and it'll be a big old ball of fun. So good seeing you guys, Wendy and Richard. All of my love. Sorry I couldn't be there with you tonight, but
You get well, David.
You get well, and we'll see you soon.
You held up incredibly, and thank you so much.
You're welcome. Go enjoy your martini. I'm gonna have some tea and some NyQuil, and
all right,
we'll talk soon.
All right.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.